this video, I am providing a few answers to the 4 questions that we posed in the video we published discussing the new exit and entry facial scan of non-citizens. Now, in that video, we asked a couple of questions as far as how it would impact green card holders. Well, in this video, I'm going to provide you some answers, so let's just dive right into it. The first question we asked is, how will this new exit and entry facial scan affect the re-entry of green card holders back into the US? Well, the simple answer is that it's going to create an instant, irrefutable record of your time abroad. It's going to make it easier for Customs and Border Patrol to challenge your status if you've remained out of the country far longer than you should have as a green card holder. Now, back in the day before this new system, and mind you, back in the day is before the deadline that this is going to start, CBP would verify how much time you spent out of the country by looking at your passport book or airline manifestos. It was a very manual type of approach of confirming, and a non-citizen could very easily challenge. But with the facial scan that scans when you leave and when you come back, that record is in the database. And so this raises the issue that you should be aware of is that the facial scan at the airport exit provides CBP with automated exact proof of the date you left the US. So the risk to non-citizens who remain out the country longer than they're allowed to is that if you return after a long trip, especially one over 180 days, Customs and Border Patrol can immediately use this biometric record to argue or show that you have abandoned your green card status, leading to more complications to reentry and or being placed in removal proceedings. Let's move on to question number 2. Question number 2, we asked, how will a green card holder's refusal to the facial scan, how can that affect or impact reentry to the US? Well, again, refusing the scan is a violation of this final rule, and it can lead to being denied entry, or worse yet, put in deportation proceedings. Now, the new rule makes the facial scan mandatory for all non-citizens and optional for US citizens. And so, unlike US citizens, green card holders do not have the options of opting out. So, the consequence of you refusing to have your face scanned, well, refusing to comply with this mandatory rule on exit or entry, CBP could classify someone as inadmissible, meaning you're not allowed to enter. Or again, worse yet, begin the process for removal proceedings because you failed to follow the official border inspection rule. Question number 3, we asked, how is the 75-year data retention of the facial scan photos of non-citizen? How will this be used in connection with someone who's a green card holder who has a past law enforcement encounter, which could include a conviction and or any new grounds that the administration now deems to be a violation of immigration laws that could subject you to removal? Well, the biometric data can be stored up to 75 years. This is going to act as a permanent searchable record to find reasons to deport you, even decades later. But the other thing I want you to understand is that this is going to act as a continuous vetting of internal and external databases, which will include law enforcement databases. So if you are arrested and you may be going through a criminal process, you're in a database that CBP can search to see if there's any pending information, as opposed to necessarily waiting for an official record through a conviction. So you want to be aware of that. And so, following along the same lines, if new evidence surfaces, as I was explaining, in arrest, or let's say if it's new evidence of an old crime that's linked to you, or if it's flagged as a new security risk, holding this data up to 75 years makes it easier for the government to link that concern directly to you and your identity, and that could trigger or lead to removal or deportation proceedings based on this newly discovered information. And the 4th question that we posed is, how will this new rule allow greater scrutiny with those who have criminal convictions or are now found to have anti-American ideologies. And so this automated data system is going to definitely speed up the process to link someone's face to a crime or a national security threat. So the facial scan is an instant digital identity verification that is cross-referenced again against criminal records, national security records, and other external databases, which can include DHS&V. So you want to be aware of that. This greater scrutiny is definitely going to be a change that allows the Custom and Border Patrol to have an automated check, which makes it virtually difficult to mask or hide a past crime or enter using fraudulent identity. So internally, they're going to be searching against your facial scan, and externally, they're going to be searching against your facial scan. Now, the result of all of this ultimately is that if someone has an undisclosed criminal history that was not otherwise shared, let's say, for example, or if someone poses a national security risk, things like that are going to be flagged. We've talked about how the administration is now looking into social media posts and scanning all of these things to determine whether or not there's anything in someone's social media profile that could raise any alarms. And so here's some takeaways that you may want to consider, and that is, for some individuals, you may want to consider signing up for credit monitoring services. Aside from monitoring your credit, many of these services also provide monitoring of court records or anything that could be in your name in the public database, and they alert you of that. Another thing also is that some individuals may consider to obtain a copy of their own record, even if you do not have a criminal record. I am located, as I've shared with you, in the state of Florida. In the state of Florida, particularly if you've been a victim of identity theft, you can, through the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, you can request to have a record search, a criminal record search on yourself to see what comes up. Many times people have used other individuals' names when they've been stopped by law enforcement if they didn't have identification. And then that name, which belongs to someone else, is where an arrest record is created. And if that happens or has happened to you, you will definitely have to fight that through the criminal court process to prove that you are not the person who is actually the subject of the arrest, meaning someone gets stopped by the police, they don't show identification, they give another person's name, they get fingerprinted, so their fingerprint is attached to someone else's name, thereby creating the identity or a false identity of the person who really isn't the person who got arrested. I hope that all made sense to you. But the bottom line of what I want you to take away is there are some measures that you can take now in advance of when this rule comes into play so that you have all of your information at your disposal and you at least know if you are a victim of someone having illegally used your name or information for illegal and nefarious intent. Thank you so much for watching. Please be sure to like and share this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.